Welcome back to the show. We've made our way over to one of Lacombe's many museums, and I am now joined by the director of the museums, Marie Peron. Why don't you fill us in on what museum we're sitting in right now?
We're in the Michener House Museum, and it's the oldest house left in Lacombe today. It was built in 1894.
Very cool. Now fill us in on a bit of the history behind this house.
This house is a house museum, and so people actually lived here, and it showcases what early life was like in Lacombe, and specifically what it was like when the Michener family resided here, since it was the birthplace of Roland Michener, Governor General of Canada, from 1967 to 1974.
And this museum also features a bit of a traditional museum guides to tour you around.
Absolutely. We have costume interpreters who will show you around the museum and also showcase some of the traditional heritage skills that were that everybody knew at the time, such as wool spinning and wool carding.
My favorite museum in all of Lacombe has to be the Flatiron Museum. Why don't you fill us in on what that museum holds?
The Flatiron Museum is a beautiful piece of architecture in itself, an example of Edwardian architecture in Lacombe. It's a beautiful brick building, but inside we have a museum and interpretive center with changing exhibits. So every time you stop in, summer or winter, there'll be something new to see.
And why don't you speak to the upcoming exhibits that we might see in the next year?
This coming year is very exciting with it being Canada 150, and so we'll be having some special exhibits highlighting the themes such as Aboriginal reconciliation, but also we're going to do a special exhibit featuring some of the unique artifacts in our collection here in Lacombe, and we're going to do something cool called Lacombe's Got Treasures, where the visitors get to give us the descriptions of the objects.
I would say the most exciting exhibit, museum in all of Lacombe has to be the Blacksmith Shop Museum. What's that all about?
The blacksmith shop is truly unique. It is the oldest operating blacksmith shop in all of Alberta today. It was built in 1902, and it's a place where you can see some live blacksmithing happening. We've got heritage blacksmiths who have been volunteering for a number of years and who have been learning the skills of traditional blacksmiths. So they teach our visitors how the traditional blacksmiths made things in the shop.
Now, bringing it all back to the Michener Museum, this museum's unique because it is equal parts museum and heritage homes. And heritage homes is something Lacombe works really hard on. Why don't you fill people in on the different heritage homes around Lacombe and the stories that they have?
Lacombe is rich with heritage homes. We have some from the early settler periods, such as the Michener House, but we have many that were built in the 1920s that really showcase the heyday of Lacombe, with some beautiful, large, stately homes, such as the Morrison House. And then we also have some smaller bachelor-style houses that showcase what it was like for the workers when they first moved here to Lacombe to work the farms and at the Lacombe Research Station.
It really does seem like the community of Lacombe really supports their history and their heritage, and they work hard to maintain it. Can you speak to the work that goes into keeping these homes in tip-top shape and bringing them back to what they were traditionally supposed to look like?
A lot of work goes into maintaining these houses, and I think a lot of pride as well. Heritage conservation has been an active community effort since about the 1970s. However, more recently, homeowners actually have some help. There's a grant program available now. If you get your home designated by the city, you can also get some financial assistance to make sure your home retains those beautiful architectural features.
On your next trip to Lacombe, I definitely suggest touring down the streets and trying to spot which ones are heritage homes and which ones are from the early periods and the later periods. It really is fun to walk the streets and kind of look and learn more about them. Is there a website that people can visit in regards to the heritage and history work here in Lacombe?
Absolutely. The Historical Society actually maintains a website, and so if you just Google Michener House Museum, you'll stumble upon our website, and has a lot of information about the heritage homes and the development of Lacombe's history from the early settler period to later on, and how the architecture reflects those changes in our history.
Now let's change pace a bit and speak about tourism, because you are also the director of tourism. I find when you travel to Lacombe, there's not only an opportunity to visit Lacombe and enjoy your time in the city, but also branch out and check out the surrounding region. What is there to see and do?
Lacombe is a destination for the culture, arts, and heritage, but also for local food and culinary tourism in the area. So we've got beautiful farm attractions, farm stores out in the countryside. But when you're in Lacombe, my suggestion is to go for lunch and a nice walk around town. We've got beautiful murals that I think are a real attraction for Lacombe.
Are there any events coming up throughout the year that really showcase that arts or culture or harvest time, for example?
Starting this spring, we have the annual Encore Art Show and Sale, which is an opportunity for individuals to see some local art, but also pick up and purchase their own art for their homes if they so wish. In the summertime, we have the festivities kick off with Canada Day on July 1st. This year, it being Canada 150, we're going to have a big celebration, so make sure to mark your calendars and be in Lacombe. But later in July, we have the annual Lacombe Days festivities, which features a large food festival component as well. And in the fall, the Lacombe Culture and Harvest Festival really brings together a celebration of the heritage arts and the culinary here in Lacombe. And finally, in late November, we have a beautiful Christmas festival called Light Up the Night, which features sales around the Christmas period, but also our annual Christmas parade.
Definitely mark your calendars for that, and when you choose to come and visit Lacombe, be sure to take in one of those many festivals going on. Now, what is your personal favorite thing about living in Lacombe?
My favorite thing about living in Lacombe, aside from the arts and heritage, really has to be the food. I love food, and so that's one of the best things about Lacombe. You can have locally brewed beer to homemade food, such as cakes and pies and treats that you really, want to have a special day out. And so I would say from farmers markets to food stores, local food is one of my favorite things about the area.
Food is one of my favorite things as well, and now it is time for us to learn a little bit more about these local businesses that you're mentioning here in Lacombe. We're going to check out Sweet Capone's as well as Good Neighbors Coffee and Blind Man Brewery. Marie, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your wealth of knowledge on history and heritage in Lacombe.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, my name's Hans Doof, and I am co-owner of Blind Man Brewing. We operate a craft brewery here in Lacombe. We've been open for a year and a half, and we provide craft beer to the local community as well as Alberta-wide. It began with me and my friend Dave Vanderplaat, who's one of the guys here, about 4 years ago, just talking about it after hockey in the locker room. And through that brainchild we had, it became more and more reality as it went on. 3 guys have joined us from Edmonton, and they are part of the business now too. We chose to open in Lacombe because we're from Lacombe. We see the community being very strong in supporting local business, and we also just see it being a really good place to start a craft brewery, as well as being a central place in the Alberta geography. A lot of our base malt for our beer is just coming right from Alex, which is 15 minutes east of Lacombe, and we use it for about 80 to 90% of most of our beers. Alberta has some of the best, if not the best, barley for brewing beer, and for us to have this right in our backyard is great. The friends in the community have kind of been ambassadors for us, in the sense that to have a local brewery is something to be kind of proud of, I think. And we're trying to make the best beer possible, and I think people are tasting that and enjoying that too, and proud of it for sure.
Hi, my name is Rick Abma, and I am the owner and the master roaster of Good Neighbor Coffee in Central Alberta. We bring in a specialty bean from around the world and have direct relationships, like the people in Honduras where we used to live, and then keep a higher end product and roast right on site and live for people, and do it on locations as well for anybody who wants to buy retail or wholesale. In 2008, my 4 kids, my wife and I, we actually lived in Honduras and got to know these people who later ended up growing a very good bean. At the same time, I had moved back to Canada to learn how to roast as a hobby, and turned into something I did for neighbors. And they really liked it, and it ended up just taking off and growing into a business. The packaging that the coffee went into actually carries the stories then of what happens in some of the neighborhoods all over the area in which I live and work in. I'm in the position where I have a board of directors that are waiting to sign a lease to open what will be called the Good Neighbor Coffee House in Lacombe. And it's just part of a number of creative and neat things that have been happening in Lacombe. So join in the fun. There's a number of people that are very caring and loving and want to see unique and thriving business flourish. And yeah, it has. There are a number of people that have been very encouraging. People who have been willing to invest, so I just love to be living in a place like that.
Hi, my name is Karina Moran, and I'm one of the owners of Sweet Capone's Italian Bakery and Cannoli Shop in Lacombe. We are an Italian bakery and cannoli shop, so we specialize in Italian baked goods. One of the biggest things that we offer is Italian cannoli. And there's a lot of new features that we keep adding on, but primarily we are a cannoli shop. It initially started with an interest between my mom and I to make my father's mother's cannoli, so they'd be known as cannoli. And when my husband married in, he had said to my mom, "Why are you not selling these?" Because he thought that they were just so fabulous. So we started making them out of my kitchen, and we made them for friends, then friends of friends, then friends and friends of friends, and it got to be ridiculously busy in my tiny kitchen. So we decided to turn my basement into a commercial kitchen, and that is essentially where the bakery started. The decision to open up this tiny place really came about because we needed a drop-off point for our cannoli. And it ended up turning into something way busier than we ever thought. What was initially supposed to be a pickup point, turned out to be an extremely busy bakery. It was supposed to be a drop-off point for the cannoli, and we thought, well, you know, maybe we'll have a cooler, and anything that's left over at the end of the day, we might have some foot traffic coming through, and hopefully we'll be able to sell the rest of it. So our first opening day, we were floored by the fact that there was a lineup, not just 5 to 6 people, it was down the block and around the corner, and that lineup continued every consecutive day throughout the summer. I tell people all the time that I 100% attribute our success to the town and to the people and to everybody in Central Alberta that supported us. We would never be where we are or as successful as we seem to have become if it wasn't for the support. That's one thing that we've realized with Central Alberta and Lacombe in particular, is that they are so, I say, ridiculously supportive of small business. And it's something that has been so appreciated by each and every one of the business owners.
That's all the time we have for Where You Live in Lacombe. If you would like any more information on the City of Lacombe, you can visit their website, www.lacombe.ca. And if you'd like to request that we visit where you live, you can contact us on our Facebook or Twitter pages, Shaw TV Red Deer. I've been your host, Chloe Hoffner. We'll see you next time.